Welcome to the S.J. Child Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show. Hi, thanks for joining the SG Child Show. I'm so excited today to catch up with Gage. And I was on his podcast a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so. And so he got to know me, but it's time to flip the script and get to know Gage and find out more about him. And it was a wonderful conversation with you that time. So thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for asking me to come on. I'm really excited to talk a little bit autism, and I see where the discussion goes. It usually flows in a different way, so it goes always, but it's always interesting.
Yeah, and always learn so much from other people's experiences, their advice, their lessons that they've learned that they can share. So that's always nice when you have things that you can take away. Plus the great connections, like you said, and opportunities that can come from, getting to know or other people listening to the podcast for both of us on both ends. Because as we get into this discussion, we're going to talk about your own show that you created. And yeah, it just goes up from there. So before we get into everything exciting and wonderful, give us the introduction of Gage and kind of what brought you here today.
No, what brought me here today, it starts back when I was 5 years old. That's when I was diagnosed with autism, and I grew up showing signs of autism early on. Like, I didn't talk till I was 5. I would create boxes against where the snacks were. I would create boxes and climb on them. So I showed a lot of signs early. And as far as podcasting goes, I've been doing that for the past 5 years. I started in 2019, so I was about 19 years old, and it just started. It wasn't even about autism originally. It was just about a TV show I just wanted to record and talk about and see where it went. And it went to football, and then it led to autism. I got inspiration last year. I just had this super spiritual experience. It came a couple months after I had a severe autism burnout, and I went to this retreat that I spent a couple months at, and I just had this epiphany and a vision that I wanted to bring more awareness and more acceptance and to build a bridge of the community. And it's not just me, but everybody. I think it takes community, and I felt a vision there with my podcast. I was like, you know what? I'm the past podcasts didn't work out. They had some success, but I didn't feel connected to it. But I can use that for my community and for autism. So main goal of my podcast, which is called Autism Talk, is to bring acceptance and awareness to the autism community. And I have guests like you on and people that are in the autism community. Could be parents, could be advocates, and that sort of thing. And it's been a beautiful experience.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And only because I love birds more. I'm a crazy bird lady. If that's to be a thing. Tell us where you're at and what the heck is that bird that's making all that noise behind you?
Well, actually, I'm not sure what's going on, but there's I guess a helicopter in the background. But yeah, I'm in St. Pete, Florida, and right now I'm in my backyard. There's the one thing I don't like about here is the sand. I can't stand sand, but I love the palm trees. I love the weather for the most part. It gets a little warm out here, but overall it's really nice here. I moved down here about 3 years ago because I lived up north majority of my life, and I came down here for more opportunity because I felt like I hit my wall when it came to up north. Or where I came from is Pennsylvania. near where the Civil War happened in Gettysburg. And I just I felt like I wasn't growing, and I was starting to go and kind of getting a little depressed. So I was like, you know what, it's time for a change. And I moved with my brother, and we went to Florida. And ever since, like, it's just been mind expanding, and have been a lot of connections I made here. A lot of friends that became family to me, and these 3 years have been incredible.
That's amazing. I find that when we follow kind of our heart and not get out of our head, like
Mm.
you said, kind of that depression and everything, that we can really find and create peace and happiness for ourselves. And some people look and they're like, oh, you're so happy, like you're so lucky because you have that or whatever. Oh boy, I worked hard for this happiness. Like it's not always good days. There's, you put your best foot forward. Like everybody has kind of their own motto, if you will, or whatever. But I think that just following your instincts and your heart like that is so important. So that's great that you did that. What was it like, the community kind of growing up? What kind of services were they, did you feel they were good, or could they have used some work, or how do you feel about that now looking back?
Definitely some work. I in their own way, they did try to help, but it actually turned out to be worse than they were originally intending. That was mostly school. They would have us use job sites because they were trying to make us a little bit more self sufficient, but it actually affected us long term wise. They would have us use job sites like clean trash off Walmart and clean a laundromat, and it took a lot of time off school. So I'd be doing job sites like 2 to 3 days a week, and it took a lot of time out of school. Um, and it just kind of affected kids knew that. And not only that, but we also cleaned the dust off tops of locker rooms, in the hallway in front of everybody, and also in the cafeteria.
Mhm.
It'd be during like mid periods, so not everyone would be there, but kids would ask questions, and it's kind of hard to avoid those, especially like when you're like 13, 14.
Absolutely.
Um, then it caused a lot of bullying and a lot of judgments, and it definitely hurt a lot. And it, personally speaking, it affected my confidence, and even against my own football team. I didn't have too many friends. And with my classmates, I always felt like because a lot of them looked up to me because I went to a lot of regular classes, and I was a football player, and I was doing a lot in that as far as being autistic, and then I felt like I kind of had to protect them, and it was very difficult because it was a very confusing time. So I was still trying to figure out this whole. Because I didn't find out I was autistic until I was like 14, 15. And it was a very confusing time, and I felt very angry at the time. I didn't know. I felt like there was something wrong with me, and I didn't really think. I didn't look at autism as a positive thing at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's um, something people can definitely relate with. And what do you think about schools and education and the kind of, how do I put this? The level of emotional well being that should be the focus rather than the system that they have in place?
I think it needs to change. Because you look at even 100 years ago, the schools are exactly the same. There might be small changes, but overall, it hasn't changed much. And a lot of it is because they want to stick with what works and what's not broken, but actually is broken. There's a lot of it has been very positive, and as far as people with disabilities, I'm sure you've heard stories as well, but it has not been very positive for majority of people with disabilities. Um, and there could be definitely better systems for that. And with the educational system, and there's a lot teachers don't really have 7 hours a day. They can't like individually help each child,
Yeah,
all the time.
absolutely.
So I can't really blame them. It's more the system, like, and I feel like they put the funding in the wrong areas. I think they should really invest into people that really need the help, and into investing more into education. Like even statistically, what they like, what I would do is like add standing desks, like that provides up in productivity, and bring different classes that are more relative. Even meditation, I think, would be a great tool for people, for
Mhm.
younger kids. Looking back, I wish to God they would have had that, because that would have helped me so much in classes when I felt anxiety and I felt depressed. Like that would have helped in such a big
Yeah.
way. And I just think there's a lot of things they could add into it, that could help the school system like very much so. And there's a lot of things they can implement that could be different. And I just think it's time to modernize the school system, because
Mhm.
it's old system that was meant for factory workers originally. So just needs to change.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are afraid of change, and change comes with an unknown sense of what could be or what may be next. However, it's funny. I just said this a minute ago about people's life mottos, and somebody just uh, did a post about what's your life motto, or what is a sentence that someone had said to you that's changed your life. And I put a sentence that my husband actually said to me when we were dating. If you do what you always do, you get what you always got. And I was just like, dang, I don't remember what it was about, but it was a slap in the face. And I was just like, okay. I need to look at this. This is so true. But it's wise. It's so true. And that's what's happening. We're repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating things that, and if it doesn't just, it just needs to be like flip, flipped upside down and
Exactly.
shaken out and ringed out, right? All of the things, and then we can build it back together from there.
And the
No,
one last piece with that, I think it's more about building on strengths. Like even disability. Like one thing I begin into is like wording, 'cause I believe words have power, and I think it's get like disability means a lack of ability. I think people with autism, like I think they have a great ability. Like there's so many examples of like Elon Musk, Greta Thunberg, and Albert Einstein. And I think in school they need to work on the strength instead of always working on the weaknesses,
mm,
because that's going to slow them down. And in school, you don't have that much time. So I think really they should really be focused on the strengths of those students.
yeah. How much could we create in that kind of an environment? I can't even imagine the power and the inventions and the ideas and the opportunities that would come from that kind of a nurture of a wonderful environment like that, for sure. So good things to put to the universe. So we need you to work on these things, please.
Right? Just keep
I love it.
manifesting it.
I love it. Tell us about that transition, maybe from high school or whatever, to wanting to kind of get out of there. Or did you stay in Pennsylvania and like go into the workforce? What did that look like?
um, I actually didn't go to the workforce until after the pandemic, because I just took a year off, just trying to figure out what I want to do. I didn't go to the best environment. I actually ended up going to Maryland for a year. Not the best decision of mine. It actually caused a lot of depression, and but it was meant to be, because it really I had time. It was during the pandemic, so I had time to really reflect, and I was forced to be with myself, which was I was always trying to distract myself, and there's so much distractions, and it really helped me finally let go of all the trauma, because like all the memories of getting bullied and my team, just like even this one particular memory. I was in the huddle, And when I say the number free, it sounds like I'm saying free. And I used to get bullied for that. Or when I try to say something in the huddle, I would get shut down immediately. And I just felt like my voice didn't really matter. And it was like almost like a PTSD moment. It just kept replaying over and over and over. And I was like, it almost like I couldn't stop it. And it took a lot of healing to get through that, and a lot of letting go, and the pandemic really helped me learn to let go, because I got to the point, I'm not going to go into detail because it's a little dark, but I got to a point where I didn't really, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it to the next day. And it finally got to the point where it was like, either this is it for me, or I got to live life how I really want to and make carve out my own path. And that was the first start. And then I started asking help. I asked my older brother, and he showed me a lot of teachers that he's been learning under, and it changed my life. I started meditating, started working out. And this is right after my best friend, he was like my older brother, passed away. And there's a lot of things that happened in that year, and I had to keep pushing through. And I'm glad I did, because it brought me here, and a lot of things transpired. And a couple of years, about a year and a half later after that, I moved here, and it brought me to this moment. So that's kind of where it was. And as far as the workforce, it was very difficult. It was kind of transition. I worked at a diner. So that was a hard job to do, because I was a dishwasher and a little bit of a prep cook. So it was hard at first, and I had a lot of moments of like not having very good bosses, but it taught me a lot about patience and to have a little bit more self-respect for myself, to not always allow people to treat me that way. So it took a lot of those experiences, but it helped me grow and to be where I am today.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing. And I have seen, your videos on your YouTube where you do talk about suicide awareness, and you do talk about bringing a voice to those who feel voiceless or feel like they can't be heard, or going through, hard times. So thank you for doing that for others, because it really is such a scary time in anyone's life when they're feeling that they're alone, and that they, are being having injustice. And it really is horrible that humans are inhumane. I'm not quite sure I understand the how things and where things, everything goes wrong there, but I do like see how taking that time for yourself, like I'm so happy for you and so thankful for your brother who stepped in, and sounds like he had some really wonderful ways that maybe for healing that he'd had on his own journeys. And so it's so nice that you can take those steps to recover for yourself, and start a new way of being for yourself and everything. And I love to hear that you're happy now doing that. So, I mean, tell us kind of about the move to Florida, and like when was the kind of like the aha moment, and like, this is exactly what I should be doing?
I remember exactly the moment. We went to the beach. It was the day we're looking at Florida, visiting. Um, I'm trying to think if it was we were visiting or when we moved there. You know what? I think it was when we moved there. It was like the first week. And I still remember when it was the apartment. It wasn't the best place because we had a lot of cranky neighbors. But I remember just laying on the ground. I didn't have no bed yet. My stuff wasn't in yet. I just lay on the floor. I was like, I just couldn't stop smiling. I was like, I'm finally here. I'm ready for my new journey. It just felt like the dream. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually here.
I
And
love
it was the moment we went to the beach. we're in the ocean, and there's a sunset, and me and my brother just looked at each other, and we're like, we made it. We really made it. We're here.
That's amazing. And that it's something you can have forever, that moment, that memory for you too, and that feeling. And now, with manifesting, you just bring that feeling up of being so at peace and so blessed in that moment, and you attach it to anything you want in the future and bring it closer. Yeah, steps of manifestation 101. You can catch that episode. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, isn't that really, I love that. And now you're pursuing your dreams and your desires. And what does that look like? What are you up to now? And what do you have kind of coming up in the pipeline for yourself?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't really, I had this flash of a dream. It was a couple of months I had it, and then it didn't always transpire. But it was a seed. I actually wanted to be a motivational speaker years ago, but I kind of gave up on it and really pursued more the podcasting thing. But I got opportunity recently by an amazing person that is an organization, Team Awesomeness, Lynn. She really she got me an opportunity to be a speaker at the ICANN Autism conference in April, and so I just been.
Yay!
I'm really excited for the opportunity. I was honestly, what you told me, I was like kind of blown away. I was like, what? It was
That's awesome.
it's a beautiful experience, and now it really it really drove me though. I'm like, because I do plan on having my podcast still, like that'll always be my saying, but I want to be a speaker now. That's what I'm kind of trained for now. Like today, actually tonight, I'm going to Toastmasters. I've been going like every day these past like maybe a month and a half, a little over that.
Good for you.
And I'm just trained to be a speaker. Actually, I've been talking to someone that's been speaking for 15 years, and I've just been like, hey, what can I do as a first time speaker? He actually gave me his book, Speak and Grow Rich. And I'm been getting into it, but man, it's just so powerful. Like I really just started it, and I'm like blown away. So
Oh,
it's
I
been a
can't
beautiful
wait.
experience.
Good. That's fantastic. I wish that I could be there. I was also invited to be a speaker, but I can't travel that far.
Oh, it
So
would have been awesome to meet
I
you in person
know.
too.
And you know what? I might even just do this. But I have a joke with like 2 or 3 other speakers that are going to be there, that everybody just needs to wear an I Know Sarah shirt, and you can all connect with one another. Oh, that is funny. No, I'm really bummed that it was a wonderful invitation, but I'll be excited to watch you and to hear you again and to see you thrive in that environment that you're working so hard for. And congratulations, Toastmasters is a wonderful way to go. My husband's did Toastmasters in the past, and he's always like, you need to look into it, and I probably should. So maybe.
It can be a lot, It's a great saying. I think it depends on what your Toastmasters looks like, because they're all different kinds. But the one I go to is from a church I go to, the Temple of the Living God, and luckily there are a lot of amazing people there. I was nervous as heck, like my heart was beating from my chest, and a part of me is like, should I just go to the bathroom and leave? But I walked up there, spoke, and I'm very critical of myself, so sometimes I don't always I always think I did bad, but everyone's like, Gage, you did great. You did pretty good. And because it was like table topics, like 2 minute, like, oh, apples or PC, and I was like, yeah, I was trying to make it more comical, and it kind of turned out that way. So it was fine, but the one thing I'm learning is to give myself a little more love and to be patient, because it was only my first time really speaking. I haven't spoken like 6 months, and that was only one time, so it kind of dissolves away pretty quickly. So that really felt
Yeah.
like my first time, and we'll see how it goes tonight. Hopefully, a little bit better.
Yay. Well, congratulations, and I wish you the best on that. And that's going to be wonderful. We'll make sure to like stay in touch and get me, your speaking cards and things that I can help promote you as the speaker too for that event. I would love to do that.
I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you.
absolutely. No, that's wonderful. Well, what is some advice that you would leave with our listeners and viewers? How about advice for parents of younger kiddos under the age of 10, and then advice for adults that are, late diagnosed or
Mm.
as, just autistic adults that are, just they are now.
Well, with the parents, I would say, if your child, especially ones that have autism, be patient with them, have an open mind, because they learn differently, they see things differently, and just be there as support and love them, and just send that love, because someday it can be very difficult, and sometimes we forget how difficult it can be to be autistic, and or be labeled as a disability, and especially those going to school. Like, it's very difficult, from speaking from experience, and from what I heard, it hasn't gotten better. So just be present with them, just be loving and supporting them, and especially if they have anxiety, I would recommend, like, they have like meditations for kids and things like that. So I recommend going on YouTube, looking up a short video of meditation, and introducing that to your kid. They're not all kids are not always interested in meditation, so you might have to put in a way that will get them to interact with it. But I highly recommend that, and yeah, just be there for them, because that's ultimately what I wish I would have had. Someone, my parents, they did the best possibly could, but they always weren't mentally there. And so being present with them is the best thing you could offer them. And for autistic adults and those of like, I recommend giving yourself love, because we can be very hard on ourselves. And when you feel like you fail at something, or like you don't feel good at something you want to be at, I will say this: be bad, be good. It's a quote I had to remind myself after my first time speaking. No one's coming out of the womb like, yeah, man, I can sing like Stevie Nicks, and I can work out like a bodybuilder. You're not going to come out like super crazy good. It takes work, and you might not be good right away, but that doesn't mean you can't get better. So it's all work. And if you guys are struggling with anxiety or depression, start from meditation. It's being present with yourself and not always listening to your head all the time, because that's where I heard this quote and I believe it. If you're in your head, you're dead. You're not really present. You're not really there. It's like when you scroll on a cell phone, you're not really there, and you're like, where did I just go? So just be present with yourself and give yourself love. And that's the best way to go, and the best way to start out.
I love both of those pieces of advice. I think that's so fantastic. And sorry if you hear noise in my background. I have a cat digging through a box, because of course that's what he needs to do right exactly at this moment. No regard.
Well, I have airplanes. I don't know why they keep flying around the time.
No, that's so funny. Gage, this has been such a great conversation. I'm so glad that we could connect, and I'm really excited for the opportunities that you have coming up for you, and I'm going to be able to kind of watch you grow, and yeah, so looking forward to that. And I'm so glad that you took the time to be here with me today, and you took the time to have me on your show as well. And I just went on before we came on here and posted it. and said, go listen to this conversation so that you can come back and listen to my interview with him later. So hopefully that, we get some good cross promotion on both of our shows there. So
Yeah,
let's
that'd be
talk
awesome.
about your podcast, because we can't not talk about the show and what you like to talk about, who you talk to, and the name of it, all of the good stuff, so that we can give everybody the info of where to go.
So it's called Autism Talk. I couldn't, guys. Someone else claimed the ad on YouTube, but it's Autism Talk of Gage. And I have daily messages I give every day, or at least like 5 to 6 times a week, depending on what's going on with my schedule. But I also have guests on that are autistic, a parent of that has an autistic child, or advocate for autism. I had some educators on. I'm actually having one tomorrow. She's been an educator for, I think, around 30 years or over 20 years, somewhere around that. And so I'm just really want to spread awareness and acceptance to the autism community. And I like to have people on that are uplifting, that have a great message, because we all have a reason to complain or be upset, but I like the people that have pushed through that and that don't go into like the victim mindset like we all can. I've done it before, but we really we need more people that are uplifting and that are showing the path, like you can do this, you can do more than you think you can. And I'm grateful that I can bring that, and to bring any messages that I've learned on my path that can help you. And I'm just super grateful to be able to do that. And I'm hoping Autism Talk becomes something that's well known. Same with your podcast. These are the podcasts that I want to be well known and to get the attention it deserves, because we both work very hard, countless hours. So I'm grateful for these podcasts and these talks.
I couldn't agree more, 100%. And I put it down, YouTube, Autism Talk with Gage, Autism Talk, Gage, Gage, for those of you who were listening. Thank you so much for your time today. And I just wish you the best, but we're going to be in touch all the time anyways. So I'll know what's happening, and I'll make sure, we can come have you back on for a catch up later and after that event maybe, and you can tell us what your experience was.
Yeah, I would love that. It's always a pleasure to come on here, and I look forward to it.
Yay. Thank you so much for your time today. We'll be in touch.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely.